Hi, how's it going? So, we're gonna talk about episode 4 and episode 5 of The Sympathizer on HBO. If you're here and haven't watched as far, come back when you have if you want. Yeah, alrighty, let's do it. Spoilers are a coming. So, last episode we ended with the captain having the meeting with all the Robert Downey Jr.'s. He was offered a role to consult on a Vietnam War movie by this hotshot director. This is definitely Robert Downey Jr.'s most palatable character. I think it works well. You don't have to suspend your disbelief as much. The main theme of this episode really is a critique on the Hollywood system, particularly of that time period. Here they may pay attention to the set design to make it look authentic and all, but when it comes to the Vietnamese people in the movie, as long as they passed as Vietnamese people to the American audience, that's all that matters here, you know? So here we see that this this woman is actually Chinese. The captain comes in to save the day by calling in a favor from the general to bring in some actual Vietnamese who are basically the refugees that came over from South Vietnam with the captain and the general. This is an interesting scene. The new extras that were brought in, the captain is telling them to say these pro-communist lines. The director didn't really care what they're saying as long as it sounded good to their ear. What gets into the take is actually them saying, I don't want to say these shitty lines. I'm not going to spout this communist propaganda. So we get some scenes of like the movie here. This is another point where we're kind of missing the Park Chan Wook touch. It feels like all they did to make this a 70s movie was just put a filter on and widen the aspect ratio a bit. You know, and maybe the point is to show that like, oh, this director isn't actually that good, you know? We get a little bit more of some unreliable narration in that the captain admits that he had to make up some of these moments here because he wasn't actually present. David Duchovny's character seems to have a grudge against the younger actor here who's like a singer and appears to have some racist prejudice. While the captain is easily dismissed when he has his suggestions on how to improve the film, Duchovny here gets all the privilege. I guess he's a big time actor, kind of reminiscent of maybe a Brando type of character, Marlon Brando type of actor. He is a method actor. His character is a critique of the method actor who's always in character, even if it makes people on the set uncomfortable. People have to cater to his needs. He's allowed to be an asshole, and he has the excuse that, oh, he's just doing it for the movie. And, you know, it's a privilege afforded to white men in Hollywood, as opposed to John Cho's character here, who is always cast as the Asian guy in movies. Whether Vietnamese, Korean, Chinese, it's all lumped into one for Hollywood, and he always ends up having to die on film. Here, of course, he's getting ready to be tortured. He's getting praise for his death scene here. Duchovny's character here respects John Cho's character for his dedication to the acting craft, but uses this opportunity to criticize the idol, the singer, the black actor, for not being as method or taking it as seriously. This can be seen as a commentary on how John Cho is performing the model minority. John Cho is playing the expected role, and that's how he's gained success in Hollywood in this time. Well, this actor here is going his own way, and of course that creates a tension between him and Duchovny's character. And now we have a little bit of an issue on set. David Duchovny's character has gone missing with a potentially loaded gun. Everyone's told to stay put until they could locate the wild method actor with a gun. If this guy had gone missing with a gun, he probably would have been fired. And at last he comes back with the dead deer. He just went hunting is all. Part of his persona. The director now has been inspired. He wants to change the whole scene, like add some more explosions, which upsets the set designer, of course, because the sets weren't designed to go up in flames. But, you know, what the auteur wants, the auteur gets. And here the captain is upset that Lana has been given a new scene. in which she's being raped by the Duchovny's character. The director defends it as like, oh, it's like authentic to the experience. He also happens to name Lana's character after the captain's mother. Of course, he's going to take it more personally. Sexual abuse can often just be put into films frivolously as backdrop or as a way to further develop male characters, such as the singer Jamie Johnson's character in his confrontation with David Duchovny's character, Ryan Glenn, the movie star. Now here we have what looks to be a steamy scene between the set designer and director. The captain breaks the fourth wall again, saying he didn't actually witness these events, and says that if it offends you, to skip it. This acts as a sort of meta commentary for the TV audience on, you would think, gratuitous sex scenes in movies and TV, right? But instead of going into it and satirizing 70s sex scenes, which might have worked, it's an homage to some violence from another Francis Ford Coppola movie, The Godfather. Instead of a horse's head, it's a deer's head. So here comes the dreaded sexual assault scene. Although the scene in the movie they're filming seems to be exploitative, it does focus on how it's Lana's choice to do the scene, and the captain here is being overprotective, perhaps showing how all these men surrounding this scene approach their masculinity in different ways, you know. David Duchovny's character is approaching this as a macho method actor who's unconcerned with the real life Lana, while Jamie Johnson sees this as an affront to him personally. The director, of course, doesn't care so much about the people involved, he just wants to create great cinema. The captain has these mixed emotions of wanting to protect the general's daughter, but also the memory of his dead mother. No one's really concerned with Lana's viewpoint here. He probably just sees this as an opportunity for stardom and is not concerned at all with the optics of it. But it's a messy scene that gets the captain fired. Although I think he was already fired beforehand. And so he goes to the fake grave of his mother. He probably regrets ever coming here in the first place. And then he sees a bomb. Well, pyrotechnics really, for the movie, because they're going to go through with the whole bombing sequence. Now this does stretch belief a little bit. I mean, you'd think they like double check, triple quadruple check that no one's in the vicinity of the explosions before they trigger everything. But maybe the captain was too in his head to hear any of the warnings or calls to clear the set. Whatever the case, he has to get out of there quick because the bombs are coming. And we end the episode in a big old explosion. Well, not quite. We have a flash forward to the re-education camp here. So here this guy points out that the captain was corrupted by Hollywood. He was swept up by the romance and drama of it all, and in the end, he got blown up. So here in the end, the captain is trying to demonstrate that he's no longer persuaded by American propaganda, Hollywood, the music, so he stands up and sings a socialist song. It ends with a shot of his ear. Is he still trying to listen in on that radio station with that American song? I think he's always going to be a fan of American music and movies. As we see in earlier episodes, he does have a lot of trivia knowledge when it comes to American music. It's part of his work as being a spy, but, you know, I think he has to, like, reconcile that, like, you know, even though a lot of this entertainment comes from a country he fought against, it's fine to still appreciate some of these arts from that country, you know. So even if it seems contradictory as a Vietnamese communist during this time. That's that episode. You know, it was an okay episode, you know. It really focused a lot on Hollywood, which is interesting. But it was a bit of a detour, and I think the show is stronger when it focuses more on the spy thrilling. But we're going to get more of that next episode. Let's get to episode 5. So last episode was directed by Fernando Meirelles. And then this one, episode 5, and the last two of this miniseries, 6 and 7, are all directed by Mark Munden. Now, Mark does add more stylistic flourishes that are more similar to Park Chan Wook. So if episode 4 was a bit of a detour, I think we're getting back on track now. Like this shot in particular feels very Park Chan Wook. We get a little more backstory of his upbringing, in South Vietnam and how they all became friends. It does feel like it's setting up a tragic reveal when Bond eventually finds out that the captain is a spy as well as Mon. We'll see how that plays out. And so here's the fun scene with the lawyer. Basically, the lawyer's like, we can only give you a certain amount of money. If you had lost an eye or a hand or a leg, then we would give you more money. Real fun scene, along with the flashback of him kicking the head of that soldier. This episode gets back to the dark comedy we saw in the earlier episodes. But this shows that Hollywood is only concerned about the legal liability and paying him off as little as possible. We do see here that the lawyer was prepared to give him more money, but he drops the envelope there. So the captain maybe could have gotten more. So for a bit here, I thought maybe the captain would have had some long-term brain injuries, and maybe the show would have turned to a point where like he was completely lost and didn't quite know which side he was on. That would have been an interesting route to take here. But, another Robert Downey Jr. comes along to take him away. It's like, nope, let's get you out of here. You're going to get better right away. And yeah, he does seem to be back to normal, soon after this. And we do a little bit more of that rewind action, it's like, oh wait, before we get to the performance. So he tries to offer some money to the wife of the major he killed because he has all this guilt. Turns out she's paranoid and she wants to give that money to the general for his operations. And so the general has opened up a restaurant and the captain's going to go investigate this like supposed operation he's got going on to take back Vietnam. At this point, the captain just thinks it's lunacy, not going to add up to anything, but he has to maintain his cover, so he has to offer up the money. The major's wife wanted to donate this money, so it would be suspicious if he didn't give it to him. So it seems most of all that money he worked for has gone back to his enemy, which is unfortunate. Now we got his journalist friend here trying to get some info on this secret operation that's going on. They're becoming more antagonistic. He has to show some disdain for this left-wing journalist, right? But maybe he's realizing he's gone too far and he's becoming lonelier and lonelier in his isolation as a spy. Maybe he sees some solace in getting closer with Lana. He starts to become more infatuated with her, it seems. Not so sure about this development, but it probably will backfire anyways when she finds out who he really is. This is an interesting little moment here where he prays to his mother here at this altar. So he says it's improper for a dialectic materialist to set up this altar. In Marxist philosophy, the dialectic materialist focuses on the material conditions of this physical world, not of any spiritual afterlife or spiritual world. As a socialist or communist, one should focus on the social economic realities that actually affect us in the real world, as opposed to worshiping a god or looking to religion to save us. Marx said that religion is the opiate of the masses, So it feels like putting up this altar to his mother is a bit of a contradiction to his ideology. He's saying this to show how fragile he is at the moment, that he's turned to spirituality in his despair. I feel like he's feeling more isolated every day, The weight of living as a spy is really getting him down. Though I do have to say that spirituality isn't necessarily incompatible with Marxism. In fact, there was a lot of Buddhist communists in Vietnam at the time. Perhaps Buddhism may be the most compatible of the religions to Marxism. But I'm sure many of us can agree that you can have these spiritual beliefs and still adhere to the principles of Marxism or communism or socialism, as long as you're not imposing these beliefs on others, and your main focus is to battle these social economic realities that are dividing us into different classes. And also we can go into the psychological benefits of things like prayer, like meditation. I think Marx or some other socialists said that religion may be necessary, particularly for the impoverished, on the way to achieving communism, you know? But we'll see where the captain goes from here. Maybe he'll find a way to combine some spirituality with his politics. Anyway, the captain decides to finally pay a visit to Miss Mori, Sophia, Sandra Oh's character. He's probably expecting a lovely date, some lovemaking perhaps. As you can tell, he misses her smell. But she's a grown woman, she's not gonna wait around for him to come by. And it looks like she didn't see her relationship with him as long-term as perhaps he wanted it. Because who shows up? It's his journalist friend, that's right. And so the captain is immediately deflated and takes his anger out at Sunny here, the journalist. And it seems that Sunny is a better match for Sophia here. He is more of a lefty than the captain's persona, of course. Maybe it shows that Sophia is a bit apolitical, as I said before, in that she's not too concerned with the politics of the people she dates. But as she shows here, maybe she is more left-leaning because she seems to be showing more of her soft side towards Sunny and takes a jab at the captain, saying that, oh, he didn't stick around long enough to see her soft side. So all along, it seems like it was always just a little fling for Sophia to be with the captain. And I think she did give indications of that throughout. But I think the captain was a little bit too conceited or blindsided with his infatuation to notice. You know, but he's starting to show more of his character flaws here, his temperament. He does call out Sunny for being a coward. He may be an inquisitive left-leaning journalist, but he hasn't gone back to Vietnam to fight for his country. You know, he stayed here. He's become too accustomed to the comforts of America. And Sunny acknowledges that the captain has a point. And even though he doesn't agree with his politics, and respects the captain for fighting for his people. It's a real good scene. Again, here the captain is trying to criticize Sunny because he's angry about him being with Sophia, but he has to do it under the guise of this anti-communist. You get the feeling that in these coming episodes he's gonna pop. But then Sophia points out that at least Sunny is doing something meaningful with his life and his politics, while she's just a secretary, trying not to make noise, trying not to antagonize her bosses, etc. You know, so this makes Sophia's character a little bit more complex, more nuanced. And this depth is something that the captain didn't even see in Sophia, you know, so it wasn't gonna last anyways. Here in the re-education camp, he's feeling worn out, and the commandant points out that it's nothing compared to the suffering of the Vietnamese people. The captain pleads like, hey, you gotta find my friend, he'll tell you everything, you know, he'll vouch for me. This guy reveals that they tried to find him and they couldn't. He may not even exist. That's a pretty big bombshell. Maybe they could have told him earlier. Because now it seems that the captain has lost all hope. Like, shit. If they can't find his friend, how's he gonna get out? So, like, you know, we still don't know exactly what led him to be there, but it seems it was some kind of mistake or something. And his friend Mon, where is he exactly? That's one mystery we gotta find out. You know, could Mon have become a deserter somehow? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We go back to Hollywood now that the captain has healed up, and he brings along a little friend here. This scene seems a little extra. I mean, when did the captain learn how to train an alligator or a crocodile? I don't know. I guess we skipped that part. That scares the director enough to pay attention here. At this point, the captain has lost all hope in getting an apology from him, but wants him to leave all the Vietnamese lines in the film, you know, presumably some pro-communist lines. But then, of course, he goes on about the mysteries of editing and how he himself doesn't know what the end product is going to be and what the editing room is going to tell him. Doesn't seem like the captain's gonna get his way. But as we find out later, this did inspire the director to hurry up and get the final cut done. So maybe the captain's gonna have some influence after all. But a fun scene from Downey Jr. here. Maybe one of his best. He's comparing editing to the improvisational nature of jazz. He compares himself to Miles Davis or something. He's a bit cuckoo. And we're back to some lovely Lana dancing. I think meant to distract us a bit, just like it's distracting the captain. You know, before he has a vision of his friend. Maud's all about that luxury communism here. Look at that. He's complaining about the sparkling wine. It's not champagne. And why not? We should strive to have roses with our bread. And we got more flirtation between Lana and the captain. Though Lana's just concerned that he's a spy for her father. Because here comes Bone asking Lana to get back home. Looks like the general found out where she works. Doesn't bode well for the captain-Lana relationship. The captain obviously is upset while Bond is like oblivious. And so we're finally getting back to that spy stuff. The captain takes some pictures. He's gonna send them to Vietnam. Pretty cool stuff here. He pretends to be sending a letter to his Parisian aunt, I think. And we got the return of Claude here. Maybe the second best Robert Downey Jr. performance. It's growing on me more. I think as long as we don't see too much of the other Robert Downey Jr. characters, it's not gonna get as... it won't get as grating. Here he explains how the US government works with Hollywood. They provide some assistance, perhaps some funding, as long as the film upholds some American values. We can still see this today. You know, anytime you see military equipment in a movie, it's because the Defense Department has approved it. Good to be skeptical is all, not that that applies for every single movie you see, but it's good to be conscious of that. And of course, the CIA is paying attention to what's being written in these newspapers, calling out Sonny's reporting on this operation that the general is trying to get going. And now the general has found out. So I think the captain's intention was to reveal how silly this operation is to the community, thinking that that would embarrass the general enough to dissuade him from continuing and putting an end to his counter-revolution. It seems to have backfired, because that's only emboldened the general. He's ramping things up, he's starting the training, and it's his good old friend Bond leading the way at the training grounds. And we keep flashing back to their youth, I think indicating that this longtime friendship is finally going to come to an end soon here. He's reliving a moment in his cell here, kicking in rhythm with Bond. I got a feeling next week we're going to see Bond and the captain maybe kick each other. And we're getting close to the end. We're getting close to the finale. 2 more episodes left. I'm still on board with this series. Maybe episode 4 was a little bit of dip in quality, but it's getting back on track. And yeah, it doesn't have that Park Chan Wook touch, but I think he set the tone well enough. And it looks like it's in good hands with Mark Munden in these last 2 episodes coming up. But yeah, we still don't know exactly how the captain got captured into that re-education camp. Maybe the general's operation does end up going overseas, and the captain feels compelled to join, and that's how he gets captured. I don't know. Don't tell me. I think I'll wait another week and do a breakdown of the last 2 episodes in one go. I think that makes sense. I'll see you then. Maybe? Under the moonlight? Bye!